Welcome back to Satisfactory. I'm so glad you're here. We have a couple things we need to do, but first, I gotta check in on this coal. We said last episode that we were having issues with coal being shipped, and I believe it. Oops. Good grief. Whoops again. I'm guessing if we're having issues with that, we need to grab some turbo fuel. Obviously, these guys have plenty of turbo fuel. What they don't have is sulfur. So we're going to add some sulfur to the drone network. But first, let's check in on this coal export. Yeah, they're circling. It's an export point, so there's no reason for them to circle. Unless, of course, they don't have fuel. Some other location doesn't have fuel. We're right on the edge on power. Every now and again, we're using more than we're making. But luckily, we've got such a massive battery capacity that we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so we've checked in on that coal. At the very least, we got that launched. One way or another, that'll help us with our aluminum factory. Actually, this might be a fast video if I keep going at this pace. This should be something like turbo fuel coal import. We'll make this one a super bright yellow if we can. And then this will be called... The importance of naming your drone ports can't be understated. Turbo fuel sulfur import. Okay. It's gonna be tight quarters to get this connected, but we'll get it done. Now, where do we want this sulfur to go? And pretty straightforward if we can get this out of the rock. Okay. Doesn't look like we can. Little too much of a curve. Every now and again, a good lift solves that problem. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Ooh, there's some sulfur relatively close by. I think I know where that is. Right next to the geothermal. Uh-oh. Did I make a mistake? Oh, wow. I passed it almost instantly. Sheesh. Yeah, it would be nice not to land over here. A lot of gas. Those guys are taking shots. Maybe I need to highlight this so I just don't miss it again. Oh yeah, I totally missed it. Man, that's almost close enough just to run a stupid long belt. But it would be nice to have sulfur generally available. Even though this is going to be a super short trip. Almost. Sometimes you can build on these, and sometimes it's just a little too far away. Oh no, no turbo motors. I wonder how far we are away from 9 turbo motors. Oh, we have 8. Oh, it's the rubber. That should probably upload before we get to the 9th one. Now that we've spent all of our Mercer spheres on digital upload speed, we can actually knock this little bit out. Of course, that also means that we are suffering through. Okay. You know, a shorter foundation probably would work. But I can't get it to lock in at that level. It's fine. There we go. You know, this latest upgrade of being able to connect buildings, all buildings having 2 power connections, I haven't used that enough. I need to use that feature more. 480? Oof. 240? And 120. Oh, alright. So that's still roughly a full belt's worth. For what we're doing right this second, more than enough. Get my world famous drone port version 2 going. Need a little mini nudge. Export the sulfur. These guys just got power and they're already dumping it to the network. I'll let this be the buffer for this whole thing, so we don't need another buffer inside. And this is the geothermal sulfur export. Turbofuel sulfur import. Connect to this port. Boy, this guy needs its own little input here. There we go. Perfectly legitimate sulfur solution. And hey, our sulfur drone has arrived. This is going to be 480 plus 80 plus 120 plus 240. 840. Since it's more than a belt's worth, I'll have to upgrade this. And then we put a secondary drone on. We should have enough to at least belt this small section. course, now we've got so much capacity, it makes sense to do a little overclocking. I mean, that's truly a full belt's worth. Ooh, hi. That's probably going to end up backing up because of the delays on the drones themselves. But it's plenty of sulfur to make sure we've got plenty of fuel. And this line of compacted coal is really our problem. I think this problem should be mostly solved at this point. I don't think I have the time belts necessary to fully upgrade all of this. Yeah, that's going to be almost all of it. But I definitely know that any extra coal we put in here will be welcome. Hey, we got green all the way down. Man, I need more shards. I'm gonna put this overclocking at the end just so if I ever come back to this, I'll be more likely to check in on it. If I put it near the beginning, I'll probably just assume that those are all fully overclocked, just like I did just now. I didn't even check these to see if they're fully overclocked or partially overclocked. Alright, they're all good to go. And then this one's got... So that compacted coal is now getting made even more forcefully so we can make more turbo fuel. Why is our fuel level so low? It's like... And this guy wants over 100. Maybe I should set this just to 100. 100 fuel. Right at like 52 would be the ideal speed at that point. Because this guy is doing what? 33.75 times 3, 101. So if I set both of these to 51, that would be a little bit of a surplus. The first one's full, but the other two are barely getting any. Yeah, that seems about right. Might as well shift these all over to somebody who can use them. Rightly or wrongly, if this first machine's going to get all the fuel, it might as well get all the overclocking. You know, it's nice to have these little belt speed. Of course, I don't know where they are. Yeah, this guy. .480 compacted coal per minute. Of course, it's claiming to be calibrating still. But that number looks pretty good. And if nothing else, it'll help use the coal that we've been shipping in like crazy. That's 250, 310, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, right about 480.
I don't know. Have a good day.
I could push for more, but I think for right now, this is a good chunk. And it's definitely going to improve our overall turbo fuel factory capacity. Though there's still a little bit more room at the top. That's the downside of the manifold, is even when you dramatically increase the overall input, you still have to wait for it to filter through. Or you manually move stuff and let the manifold take care of the first guys, while you manually feed some of the dudes at the top. Of course, these guys have easy access to This is going to be slowed down by like 14. Oh, no, it made it. Never mind. I thought it was going to have a little too much sulfur, but it made it all the way through. Perfect. All right, let's call it there. We've added sulfur to the general factory. By adding that sulfur, we also increased our turbo fuel. By increasing that turbo fuel, we've given every location, including our aluminum location, more power to run drones, and we've given our generators just a little bit more power to stay ahead of our consumption for a little longer. Of course, every time I add drones, I also add power storage, so that's the fun part of that design. I think we are done. Thanks for hanging out. I do appreciate it. We'll see you next time.